Someone you trusted completely just stabbed you in the back. Maybe it was a friend, a partner, a colleague. Someone who smiled at your face while plotting against you in the dark. And right now, a well-meaning person is probably telling you to forgive and move on. But Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most brutally honest philosophers who ever lived, had something far more uncomfortable to say about that. And by the end of this video, you might never look at forgiveness the same way again. We live in a culture obsessed with forgiveness. We're told it sets us free, that holding on to pain only hurts us. And sure, there's wisdom in that. But Nietzsche saw something most people are too afraid to admit. That there are specific betrayals so corrosive, so deeply violating of your dignity and your will to power, that forgiving them without consequence doesn't heal you. It diminishes you. So let's talk about the 9 betrayals Nietzsche believed a strong person should never simply swallow, and why understanding them could be the most important act of self-respect you ever perform. The first betrayal is the betrayal of your trust during vulnerability. When you opened up, shared your fears, your wounds, your private battles, and someone used that against you. Nietzsche was fierce about this. He believed your suffering was sacred, not a weapon to be handed to someone else. A person who weaponizes your vulnerability hasn't just hurt you. They've violated something fundamental about human dignity. Don't minimize that. Which brings us perfectly to the second, the betrayal of public humiliation. Someone didn't just wrong you privately. They chose an audience. They made a spectacle of your pain or your failure. Nietzsche would call this an act of resentment, the weak person's desire to bring others down rather than elevate themselves. You don't owe peace to someone whose goal was your destruction. Now here's where it gets interesting, and a little unsettling. Because the third betrayal is one most people never see coming. The betrayal by someone who pretended to be your equal. The colleague who acted like a partner, but was quietly taking credit for your work, your ideas, your sweat. Nietzsche had zero patience for this kind of parasitic relationship. He called it a theft of the self. And he was right. Stay with me here, because betrayal number 4 might be the most psychologically devastating of all. The betrayal of your belief system. When someone you respected, a mentor, a role model, a leader, turns out to be a fraud. Not just flawed, fraudulent. Living a lie while demanding your loyalty. This is the betrayal that doesn't just hurt your heart. It destabilizes your entire worldview. And Nietzsche, who spent his life questioning false idols, understood exactly why this wound runs so deep. Fifth, and this one's going to sting, the betrayal by silence. When someone who knew what was happening said nothing, did nothing, watched. There's a reason Nietzsche placed such enormous value on courage. Because neutrality is still a choice. And it's a choice that abandoned you. Now pause for a second. How many of these have you already lived through? Because we're only halfway there. And the next 4 betrayals are the ones that define whether you grow from this or stay trapped in it. The 6th betrayal is the betrayal of loyalty during success. Not when you were struggling, but the moment you started winning. Suddenly the people around you shifted. The energy changed. The support evaporated. Nietzsche saw envy as one of humanity's darkest forces. And someone who abandons you at your peak has revealed something irreversible about their character. 7. The betrayal through manipulation disguised as love. Control wearing the costume of care. Guilt dressed up as concern. Nietzsche was relentless in his critique of what he called slave morality, using moral language to dominate others. If someone has made you feel guilty for having boundaries, for having ambition, for simply being yourself, that is a betrayal of love's very definition. 8. The betrayal of your time. The years you gave, the sacrifices you made, to someone or something built on a lie. Time is the one currency you can never earn back. Nietzsche's concept of the eternal recurrence asks you this chilling question. Would you live this moment again? Forever? If the answer is no because of what someone else stole from you, that matters. And the 9th, perhaps the most Nietzschean of all, the betrayal of your potential. The person who told you that you were too much, too ambitious, too intense, too alive, and who, slowly, quietly, made you smaller. Nietzsche called the will to power the deepest human drive, not dominance over others, but mastery of the self. Anyone who systematically crushed that in you didn't just betray you, they betrayed who you were becoming. Here is what Nietzsche never said, that you must carry hatred. What he did say, what the philosophy of self-overcoming demands. is that you refuse to participate in your own diminishment. You learn, you rise, you become harder to destroy, not because you're bitter, but because you finally understand your own worth. The question isn't whether you can forgive. The question is whether you're brave enough to stop pretending these betrayals didn't cost you something real.